What's up, everyone? It's your girl Shay here. Welcome to my channel if you are new, and welcome back to my channel if you have been here before. And as you can see by the title of today's video, I am talking about the fanfiction discourse that I have seen online. Now, I am not a fanfiction writer, but I am a fanfiction reader. I've been a fanfiction reader probably since about 2008, so when I was about to enter my first year of college, and I continue to read fanfiction across various different fandoms as well as on various different sites. Started out reading on fanfiction.net, went to Wattpad, and now I'm on AO3, which I highly recommend for people. But there's been this discourse online regarding fanfiction and kind of the fanfiction to published author timeline or pipeline, because there's been a lot of fanfiction writers, specifically within the Harry Potter fanfiction space, that have started to be able to get their works published. So the main issue that people have been discussing has been two things. Number one, there's been a series of books that are about to come out from various authors that started out in the Harry Potter fanfiction space, and it has started a discussion around the marketing for these books, or at least for one of the books, as well as a discussion about a lot of fanfiction writers starting to become published authors and therefore pulling their works off of AO3 when this happens, or pulling their works from any site. One of the first things I'm going to say is what I agree with regarding this discourse, and that is the marketing that I've heard regarding this book. So one of the things that people have been discussing is that the marketing has been marketing this book and letting people know that it was a Harry Potter fanfic, specifically that it was the pairing of Draco and Hermione, better known as Dramione. And I don't think this is okay. I think that the book should have been marketed as just a regular book so that others could have just came across it and then decided for themselves whether or not to read it. And I say this because of the fact that this isn't the first time that a fanfic has been made into a traditional book. You have obviously Cassandra Clare with the City of Bones. That was also a Harry Potter fanfic. Those books came out, I think, in like 2007, I believe those books came out. Anyone can correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't read these books, but I do know that they were originally based off of fanfiction. You also, of course, have Love Hypothesis, which was all the rage on Book Talk for a while, and it was a Raylo fanfic. And then you also, of course, have After, which was on Wattpad, and that was a Harry Styles fanfic, and those books turned into movies on Netflix. And I think the one that everybody knows is 50 Shades of Grey, that was originally a Twilight fanfic. But the one thing that I know specifically regarding Love Hypothesis, 50 Shades of Grey, as well as For the City of Bones, is that they were not marketed as being originally fan fiction. Most people found out way later on, or later on down the pipeline, that these were originally fan fiction works that were then pulled and turned into original novels after removing anything that would have linked it to the original IP. And I think that's how this book should have been marketed, or all of the Dramione fanfiction that's now starting to become published works should be marketed. The main reason why authors will decide to make their work traditionally published is because they want a wider range of people to be able to read it that might not read fanfiction, or might find fanfiction weird, or probably don't agree with fanfiction. This is their way of getting the general public to essentially read their book. And I'm not against that. Like, hey, go on, get your bag. Like, that's just how I kind of feel about it. But the part of this discourse that I disagree with is where people are starting to, or I've seen people have arguments online about how it's not right for these authors to pull their works or use fan fiction as a way to become a published author. Personally, again, I don't agree with this. This isn't something that's new. Just like I said about the other books that were originally fan fiction that got turned to traditional novels, it's nothing new. I feel like if an author wants to do that, they can. I feel like we know how hard fan fiction writers work and how they have so many ideas and how they work so hard to put out these things for us completely for free. And to me, if they decide, hey, I think this work is really good, I do want to have it traditionally published, but I need to just remove all the elements from the original IP from it in order to do that, they can. They are within their right to do so. But they also know that when they make their work online, which I heard a TikTok creator actually say, they're a writer, and they had actually said, when I put my work out there, I know that it's not really mine because there is IP attached to it, which is true. And I think though, once they remove the IP elements, it can be really there, especially if there's like no connection, there's nothing there that would even link or give anyone the inkling that this used to be a fanfic. And I feel like this discourse kind of to me sounds a little bit similar to a lot of the discourse that was happening online years ago when YouTubers started to be invited to a lot of Hollywood events, and people looked at it as like they didn't go down the usual path to get here, so therefore they should not be here. And to me, that's how it's starting to seem like to me now with fan fiction writers becoming traditionally published writers. They got there, but they just got there in a different way, and I don't think that they should be penalized for that. I feel like that is something, it's just something that's just a different way of a different path of someone getting there, right? And while a lot of people may not agree with it, it's not wrong, right? Because it's the same way how like you have a lot of people using the internet nowadays and different sites in order to put their work out there, because it's no longer the same cut and dry. I gotta find a publisher house, I gotta find someone who wants to read this to put this out there. A lot of writers are putting it in their own hands to be like, I'm just going to self-publish this, or I'm going to start out writing fan fiction because I want to try and hone in my writing, and I think it's easier for me to do it this way. That's what maybe some people think that way, right? Some people maybe do look at fan fiction as a stepping stone to become traditionally published. And if they want to think that, sure, fine, right? I'm just a reader, so what do I really know about what someone's intentions are when they write a fanfic? But I do know that a lot of writers who write fanfic are writing fanfic because they genuinely love the fandom, and there's more stories that they want to tell and interesting situations they would want to see their favorite characters in, or ships that they want to explore. And again, there's many different reasons why people decide to write fan fiction, right? Just how many of us have different reasons for wanting to read it. But at this point, I'm probably rambling. But I just don't feel like we should penalize or get upset with authors who decide to do this. I do know that for one of the books that is coming out, it was originally Manacles. I believe the book is titled Alchemized now. But I do know that that author had told people the book was going to be traditionally published, and that she would be, or they, I don't know their pronouns, that the book would be, the fanfic would be pulled from AO3 on a specific date. And to me, if you are on AO3, I highly recommend that if there's a fic you like, to download it. Have an EPUB copy of it for yourself on your computer for various different reasons. Number one, if the author ever decides to pull it because they are going to traditionally publish it, or if, for example, AO3 goes down, I just recommend that for anybody because of the simple fact that it's just better for you to be able to download that so that you can read it while, just if something happens, right? But again, it's okay if they decide to pull these works off of AO3. And again, people may not agree with me about this, and that's perfectly okay. We all have different opinions about this, but an author for their work should be able to pull it if they like to. And I feel like it's very similar to like, again, how people probably feel with like webtoons and stuff like that, because webtoons don't all of a sudden become published, right? You have these people who are drawing and writing these comics and then uploading them online, and then they become popular, and then someone's like, I really want to be able to publish this, and so they're like, sure, and all this other stuff. And so again, I think another question I have is for the people who feel like if you're writing fan fiction, you shouldn't go through the pipeline to become traditionally published. I then question, like, then how do you feel if someone has an original work, original characters, and they're uploading it as an online story? Then there are platforms for that. Obviously, we have Wattpad. I know AO3 also has a website that's for original stories. And how then in that case would it differ if they were like, hey, I'm going to traditionally publish this, I'm going to pull this off of online, because this was something, again, that originally was free, and now you have to pay for it. So are they allowed to have their works removed and become a traditionally published author, or is it just fan fiction writers that shouldn't be allowed this privilege? That's just something that I'm curious about, because of the fact that people who write original stuff and people who write fan fiction both put them online, but yet you're saying one of them should be traditionally published and one should not. basically because one is using an IP and one is not okay. Especially to me, it's not okay because the one that's writing fan fiction has to pull their works and is going to have to remove anything IP related. Because again, we have several examples of fan fiction that has then become traditionally published works, and many of us never knew that they were fan fiction unless we were already within that fan fiction space, within that fandom, or we found out through the grapevine years later or months later, and then was like, oh, okay, I know that's how it was for me with 50 Shades of Grey, as well as with like Love Hypothesis and stuff like that. The only one that I kind of knew was with After, but that's only because many people had kind of discussed it right before it came out as a movie, because everyone's just like, oh my god, this was fan fiction. But I do want to know everyone else's thoughts and how they feel about this. Again, I know there's a lot more to this discourse besides those 2 points that I talked about, but those are the main ones that I kind of wanted to discuss. I know there's also some that people have looked at also about, J.K. Rowling, or her maybe somehow being involved, and how that can be dangerous to the fan fiction space. And I do agree that does raise some concerns of mine, because I know that some authors don't like fan fiction, and because of the fact it's in this gray area about whether or not it's legal or illegal. And I do know that because I feel like there are some people who also have to agree with this or feel some semblance of this, is that because their marketing is allowing them to use Hermione or Harry Potter, that is that author involved in the marketing because of the fact that they're using IP related terms. So there's that. But yeah, what do you guys feel about this? I know there's other parts of this discourse that people have started to bring in because of the fandom that is becoming published. But I'm more so, again, my talking points was just based on the marketing, which I do not agree with the marketing. I think it should have been marketed as just a regular book to have more people read it. I don't believe they should have mentioned Harry Potter or Hermione or fan fiction at all. Let it be, just release it as a regular book. But I also do disagree with the takes of people like talking about how like a fic should not be pulled down or they shouldn't be traditionally published. That I don't agree with. But yeah, what are you guys' thoughts about it? This is, again, just my opinion, so please do not flame me. Please be nice. Let me know what you guys' opinion is about this, and I will respond to comments as well. It's just a very open discussion, and yeah, I just want to know what people think about it. Do you agree with my example about how it was with YouTubers becoming a part of Hollywood? Now you have people on TikTok becoming a part of Hollywood as well. And again, in this day and age, because of us having the internet and so many different things at our fingertips, that now when it comes to creative outlets, we don't have to go through the regular avenues to not become famous, but become well known. And to me, that's a great thing, but it seems like a lot of people still want to hold on to the old ways of which someone becomes, well-known or famous in different spaces. And I think it's okay if someone doesn't do it the usual norm way, right? So yeah, let me know what you guys' thoughts are. I'll have links down below to my, my social media accounts as well. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I'll have more videos coming out next week as well, so look out for those also. And of course, like I always tell you guys, stay positive, stay nerdy, and stay zany, stay healthy, and of course, please stay safe. And if you hear anything in the background throughout this video, I have 2 cats, and they always decide to play around when I am recording a video, whether it's playing with toys or wrestling with each other. So yeah, but all right, you guys, bye.